So welcome everybody to Thursday's session, and today we've got the wonderful Rosie, who's a musician, a composer and all things fantastic, and she's going to run the second session of her 2 sessions about writing music for theatre. Thank you, Rosie.
Thank you, Amanda. Well, hello everybody. It's nice to see you, and I hope that you're all well. Today we are going to do a session looking at character motifs. So the session I did before was kind of looking about how you might create one and what you could use as your stimulus to do that in using a picture. And today we're going to look at, if you've created a character motif, what you can then do to develop it throughout a story or to use it in different ways to give a little bit of linking up to a story, which is obviously really useful in a theatre type situation. So, but we're going to start off because it's half term this week, and so some of us might feel a little bit tired, and if you're watching this and it's not half term, you still might be feeling a little bit tired. So we're just going to do a little bit of try to get our brain in gear. So we're just going to do some warming up exercises. Can everyone go like this? And like this. And like this. I'm going to do some head patting. I'm going to do some chin tapping. And some nose tapping. Get us all warmed up and rubbing our hands together to get them warmed up in case we play some instruments. Brilliant. Now I'm just going to clap a couple of rhythms and I want you to clap them back to me. So we're going to go. Yay, brilliant. It's quite hard to do, isn't it, when you can't hear everybody else is doing all their clapping. That's brilliant. So maybe some of those rhythms are ones we could use a little bit later on while we're creating our character motifs. Now, so what a character motif is, for those of you that are like, I don't know what that word means, is it's just a little tune, and it's a repeated tune that happens, and it's assigned usually to a character or to a situation. And this type of thing is really useful in theatre because you might have a character that, especially if you were doing theatre where there wasn't a lot of words, and you might see them, and this tune can help you see, oh, that person's coming back again, and it can be used in lots of different ways to give ideas about the mood of the story or the mood of the character. So, for example, lots of films that you might know have kind of character motifs like James Bond. Your dun 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 dun. That when you might see James in different situations, sometimes you'll hear it in different ways. Jaws, da, 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 da. You know, when you hear a bit of Jaws, you know that something spooky is going to happen, don't you? And you know, you can feel it. So that's really clever because that's only using a couple of notes, that one. Star Wars, like you've got your Darth Vader theme and you've got the Cantina theme, and these things will be used when you visit, when you kind of go back to these different places. So it's really useful. And when you've got a theme like this, you can hear it you hear it the first time, but then throughout the film or throughout the piece of theatre, you might hear it in lots of different ways. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up with our own little theme for one of the characters in The Red Tree, which is the book which Reader Theatre are adapting for their next show. So we're going to have a look at the picture and we're going to have a look and create a character theme, and then we're going to see how we could maybe use it throughout different moods and different scenes of the play by changing it a little bit. So this is The Red Tree. So those of you that have joined for a lot of sessions, you will have seen this book quite a lot. Okay, and it's by Sean Tam. And it's a beautiful book with lots of beautiful illustrations. Okay, so the piece, the picture, sorry, that we're looking at is this one, which I was on. It says, "Wonderful things are passing you by." Okay. So there's quite a lot going on. So I'll just give you a little look to see if you can see some things. Now, if you've got a paper and a pen, then feel free to write down things that you might see. Just because these we can always use when we're creating our tune. So we've got the window there, we've got padlock on it. It's quite a bit of an old window, doesn't it? And then we've got clouds, got a beautiful colour palette here. We've got some little butterflies, and there's a moon, and there's this crazy object there, if you can think what you think that could be. And it looks like there's a carnival in the sky, doesn't it? Something happy going on. Lots of streamers and confetti. Okay, so that's the image that we're using now. The little girl, you can see here, she is our main character through the red tree. Okay, and the story is her little journey. And so she's here on the front, okay, looking down. Now, in this particular picture, I would like you just to write down one word about how you think she might be feeling by looking at what she looks like. There isn't, just so you're aware, as always, there is no wrong answer. If you've got a reason to think it, then it is completely valid. Okay. Now, if you've got your word, you can use that as the feeling that we're going to give the little girl for the tune that we're going to create, and then we can change that. Okay, so obviously if you're creating a tune, you'll have a starting point. So this is going to be our starting point, but it might be, if you were doing a different play or you're creating a tune for something else, you'll create your starting point at the beginning, but this picture isn't at the beginning, but that's okay. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to pick up to 8 notes, if you know that many notes on your instrument, and if you don't, then just, you only need between 5 and 8, and I'm sure most of you will be able to play 5 notes on your instrument. And if you don't have an instrument, then you can sing this, okay? So you can just use different pitches and use your voice to do this. And I would like you to have a go at creating a little melody. Now I'm going to give you an example of one, and then just so you've got a bit of an idea. So it only has to be short, because the brilliant and clever thing about motifs is they're often repetitive and they're really short, so they stick in your head. Like that Jaws one was only 2 notes, but we remember it, and you hear it anywhere and you think that was Jaws. Yeah, the James Bond, the dun 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 dun. That's 3 notes. Yeah, I know that they're repeated, so you really don't need many notes. It's just how you use those notes. So this is going to be my little tune for the little girl. Now, for now, just because I'm creating the example, I'm going to say, even though I know she doesn't actually look that happy in that picture, but I'm just going to play her feeling quite, I get like not necessarily happy, but just feeling quite like in a general normal mood, even though I feel like she feels a little bit sad in that picture. But just for this demonstration, that's what I'm going to do. So here's my little tune. Okay, so it's quite short. So I'm just going to give you a minute to have a go at playing around with your own little tune. So, but see if you can make yours feel a little bit more like the word that you wrote down. I'm going to do that in a minute to show you different ways we can change it. Oh, look at all these exciting instruments I can see. Now, I will say, I know that when I made up my little tune, for that one, I was just playing it in C major, okay, for those of you that know that scale. So it's a major scale, so it's happy sounding, so I didn't have any sharps or flats in that scale that I just used, which is why I wanted to use that one to demonstrate the first thing, okay? It's nice and simple. So we all feel like we've got something? Me thumbs up, yeah? Brilliant, okay. So here it is again, my little tune. Okay, so I think you might agree that it just sounds quite pleasant and quite nice, and it could be representative of someone who's just having a good day, as a little tune. Now, if we want to then use our tune, there's lots of different ways to do that, okay? So one of the things we can do is we can change some of the notes in it to give it a different feel. So, for example, we can put it into the minor key, for those of you that know what the minor key is. And to do that, I'm just going to flatten 2 of my notes, all right? And this could then be used to represent a feeling a little bit sad, which is actually the tune that I'd use for this picture, I think. So rather than, I went C, D, E, F, G, G, A, G, A, G, and did a little trill, okay? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go C, D, E flat, G, A, flat, G, A flat, okay? So have a listen. So I've just changed 2 notes, but it has a completely different feel, doesn't it? It makes it sound, oh, it's really sad. So that's one really easy way that you can use that tune to create 2 quite obvious different moods. Now, if you want to create if you want to do something that's slightly mysterious, you could use that minor version of the tune again, but you might, if you imagine that someone's creeping around, it's slightly more punctuated, isn't it? If something's sad, you often think it's quite slow, quite mournful, like, ooh. So if it was slow and sad, you'd play. Whereas if you were trying to create something mysterious and creepy, you might go. So it's exactly the same motif, but you've played it in a slightly different way again. So it's just thinking about the character in your head doing something and then trying to make the instrument speak in that way. Now, if you wanted to use your tune in a more party-like way, so imagine she's having a party. So in that picture, you know, we've got a carnival in the sky, which, and Jamie kind of came up with that when he was doing his workshop, and I really like that idea, carnival in the sky. So if you wanted to imagine it's more party-like, you could imagine a bit of a party beat, party feel, and you could use your major key, so just the original one, and play it with a bit more of a groove. And then you've got a completely different feel, and actually if you were to hear it, you wouldn't necessarily, you'd think, oh, that's that tune, but it doesn't feel like you're hearing the same thing over and over and over again, because it's used visually with a different picture and a different context. So what it does is it grounds you to the character, but lets all these other things still speak through, which is really great. So what I'd like you to have a go at doing just for a couple of minutes is that tune that you created, that little tune, I want you to just have a go at playing it in 2 different ways. So if you created a sad sounding tune, see if you can change 2 of the notes to make it happy. So if you play it in a minor key, what you'll do is you'll make the 3rd of that scale, and you'll make that sharper note if you use it. So for example, in C major, if you've got any E's and you've made them E flats to make it sound sad, you'll make them E naturals to make them sound happy. So that's one way to do it. Or I'd like you to think of a different scenario. So it could be the party, or it could be mystery, or it could be pondering. So you could just play it in a bit more of a way, you know, both sad or happy. And you can make your notes longer and shorter in order to do that. So you've got a couple of minutes. I just want you to have a go at playing around and changing it and see what you can come up with your little tune. And it's a really nice thing. It's a really nice and creative way to also have all this development with your character. And another thing I will say, obviously what we're doing now is we're doing things with our melodies, but obviously if you play an instrument like the guitar or piano, you'll be able to come up with some chords and other bass lines and things. And if you were playing it in a band, in an orchestra, or a band or in an orchestra, along with the piece of theatre, there would be more going on. So you could have a beat as well, or you could have filling out the sound. So it wouldn't just be the melody that could change to help impact this as well. Right, I'll give you a few more seconds. Brill. Also, if you're watching me after the fact, you know, after the live session, feel free to pause me or whatever to give yourself more time if you need to have a little bit more time to create. Brilliant. Right, I'm going to stop you there if that's all right. So, have we had a couple of different variations? Great, fabulous. Okay, so now you've got these variations. Another way to develop them even further would be you could change the key of them. Okay, so we've got the few notes that you've got, and then you can put them in the major or the minor. You can play them in slightly different ways, but if you then wanted to change to give another worldly sound, or to go to a different place, you could always put it in a completely different key. So if you started off in C major, if you were to take it to G major or to A flat major or something like that, that would really change the feel of it. So you can use that to demonstrate places. So for example, something on the ground, a grounded key, you could write your tunes and the development of your tunes around that certain key. Then something in the sky, you could take it up to a higher key to kind of give a real different flavor, and you could use those sound worlds in those different places as well. And once you've got your little motif, obviously you're not just going to play that motif over and over again, but what you can do is you can develop the scale and take things higher and lower and use different patterns in order to make the piece last a little bit longer. And then you'll add all those sections on, so then you'll have a bigger piece of music. If you wanted to, well, said character's going for a walk, you might not want to play that short one over and over again. You'd elongate it and develop it. So it's just playing around and having fun and experimenting with these different sounds, but always trying to remember and go back to this little idea and not be scared to play in lots of different ways. So I hope that that's been useful for everybody, and we would absolutely love to hear some of your ideas. So if you've come up with a motif and you've got a couple of different ways to do it as well, then please let us know. You can send things over. Amanda will talk about where to send it. One more thing as well, sorry, is you don't have to just worry about changing the notes. You can also play around with the rhythms as well. So, you know, invert your rhythms. I should have said this before. So if your tune is... Good. Oh. You're kind of changing them up. You change them up in any way, because that also gives lots of variety as well. And then, you know, then you can start moving the notes around within those patterns as well. just to give a little bit more variety. So there's lots of things you can do, but it's still obviously linking with this original motif, which is great. So yeah, I hope that's been useful. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please let us know about your character motifs, and thank you so much. So I'll pass you back over to Amanda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rosie. I'm just going to pin myself back again. So, well, thank you ever so much, Rosie. That was brilliant. And lots of ideas there for creating some music for characters. So, as Rosie said, if you've got anything that you want to share with us, we'd love to see it or hear it in this case. And you can send anything that you've recorded for us to this email address, calmanDcreative@redearththeatre.com. I'll say that again, calmanDcreative@redearththeatre.com. So thank you very much again to Rosie for a lovely session. I'm afraid that's the last one of her sessions, but you can rewatch all our Calm and Creative online sessions at Red Earth Theatre's YouTube channel. There's lots and lots of different kinds of workshops on theatre design, on lighting design, on sound design, more on music with Rosie and Jamie, on graphic design and on playmaking. So there's lots and lots and lots of choice. So if you do want to find out about any of the other sessions, just go to Red Earth Theatre's YouTube channel. So I'll just say thank you very much for attending, everybody who came, and all the very best, and stay well and go safe.